Tonight's top stories. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has instructed his cabinet to make sure that the national budget for 2027 is properly allocated for the benefit of all Filipinos. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. gave orders to all concerned agencies to implement the necessary steps and measures to address the possibility of another round of hikes in fuel prices. The impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte continues, now on its sixth day. All these and more on PTV News Tonight.
Good evening. Welcome to PTV News Tonight. The recommended 7.2 trillion peso national budget for next year is up for a magnifying glass scrutiny to ensure it is in lockstep with the national spending plan and contains only projects the government can finish on time and sans any delay. Our Kenneth Paciente tells us more on next year's proposed general appropriations bill, which is over 400 billion pesos more than this year's outlay.
The government wants to ensure public funds are allocated to programs that directly benefit the Filipino people. It is the administration's goal for the proposed national budget for the coming year. To ensure the national spending plan is properly prepared, the government continues its review of the proposed budget. In fact, various government agencies met under the leadership of Executive Secretary Ralph Recto to review the 2027 national budget. Recto said, proposed government expenditures must be aligned with the National Development Plan and provide high public benefit. He also reminded government agencies of the President's directive to prioritize only projects that can be implemented quickly and without delays. He said the President expects the National Expenditure Program or NEP, prepared by the Department of Budget and Management, to undergo thorough review. Among those who attended the meeting are Education Secretary Sonny Angara, Social Welfare Secretary Rex Gatchalian, Agriculture Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel Jr., Labor Secretary Francis Tolentino, Energy Secretary Sharon Garin, and officials from the DPWH, DOTR, and DOH. On July 10, President Marcos Jr. himself led a cabinet meeting where the 2027 National Expenditure Program presented by the DBM was discussed and approved. The National Expenditure Program serves as the government's proposed national budget and will be the basis for Congress in drafting the General Appropriations Bill, which becomes the General Appropriations Act once signed into law by the President. According to the National Budget Memorandum No. 158 issued by the DBM on June 25, the Marcos Jr. administration is targeting a 7.2 trillion pesos national budget for 2027. This is equivalent to 21.7% of the country's gross domestic product and 407 billion pesos higher than this year's national budget. Kenneth Paciente for the Nation.
A quick review and study on how to balance the impact between commuter and public transport driver and/or operator has been ordered by the President, as well as the feasibility of a fare hike increase for public transport vehicles as hostilities escalate between Iran and the United States of late. And never discount the potential of another round of payouts to the public transport sector moving forward. The full report from our Patrick De Sus.
A new wave of attacks has been launched by the United States and Iran following the collapse of peace talks between the two countries. The impact: higher fuel prices after Iran once again closed the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's major oil shipping routes. Effective today, oil companies implemented price hikes of around 2 to nearly 5 pesos per liter for diesel and kerosene. Jeepney drivers are once again bearing the brunt of the increase.
Hindi na nga ako makapagpadala ng maysay sa asawa ko eh. Puro dati nagpapadala ko ng 900, ngayon 600 na lang.
The Pasang Mazda Transport Group has renewed its appeal to implement the proposed 1 peso provisional fare increase, which was earlier suspended in March.
Laki naman ng epekto po, laki ng bawas ng kita namin. Dapat po, kahit peso yan, makakadagdag din yan sa kita.
Some commuters, however, are urging the government to hold off on any fare hike.
Wag muna po. Katulad po sa akin, nag-commute lang po ako. Minsan po nag-short ako ng pamasahe.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered a study on the latest impact of rising oil prices. According to Malacanang, the President directed authorities to balance the possible effects of a proposed fare increase on both transport operators and consumers. The President also ordered officials to look into possible assistance for those affected by high fuel prices.
Kapag tumaas ang presyo ng pamasahe, definitely tataas din ang mga presyo ng ibang mga produkto. So, ang nais ng Pangulo ay walang maiwan, kailangang matulungan ng lahat sa tamang pamamaraan at sa balansing pamamaraan.
The Department of Energy earlier said oil prices may not ease until late 2026 as the situation in the Middle East remains highly volatile. Patrick De Jesus for The Nation.
On the sixth day of the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte, the impeachment court heard oral arguments on the prosecutor's request to issue subpoenas for her tax, bank, and AMLC records. The prosecution argued that the requested documents are relevant to the case and that privacy laws should not prevent the court from obtaining evidence needed for the proceedings. House Prosecutor Shel Jokno said the records could help determine whether there were unexplained assets linked to Duterte's financial activities from 2007 to 2013. The defense, represented by attorney Michael Poa, opposed the request, saying the subpoena failed to meet the requirements of definiteness and relevance. The court also discussed concerns over the NBI investigation into alleged irregularities during the 2019 Southeast Asian Games and the participation of other senators in the trial. The impeachment court is set to decide on July 20 whether to approve the prosecution's request for the release of the requested records. The revelation of the Vice President and her spouse's bank records over X number of years was the bone of contention in Day 6 of the Vice President's impeachment trial. Disclosure of such financial records amid strict bank secrecy laws is permitted only on the condition of impeachment proceedings to hopefully shine the light on the true state of the Vice President's amassed wealth. But as our Bernard Ferrer reports, a great deal of documents sought are bank transactions predating her vice presidency when she was not an impeachable government official.
On the sixth day of the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte, the impeachment court heard oral arguments on the prosecution's request to issue subpoenas for the Vice President's tax, bank, and anti-money laundering counsel or AMLAC records, as well as certain documents belonging to her husband, Attorney Manassas Mans Carpio. Akbayan Party List Representative and House Prosecutor Shel Jokno represented the prosecution, while Attorney Michael Poa appeared for the defense. According to Jokno, the impeachment court has the authority to issue subpoenas for the documents sought by the prosecution. He argued that neither the Data Privacy Act nor the Bank Secrecy Law prevents the court from obtaining records that are material to the impeachment proceedings. Jokno also said that based on the AMLAC records, Duterte's financial activity exceeded 3 billion pesos from 2007 to 2013 when she served as vice mayor and later mayor of Davao City. He maintained that these records are directly relevant to determining whether Duterte remains fit to continue serving as vice president. For its part, the defense urged the court to deny the prosecution's motion. He argued that for a subpoena to be valid, it must satisfy two essential requirements: definiteness and relevance. The prosecution, however, rejected the defense argument that the requested documents are confidential. According to Jokno, the primary purpose of the impeachment court is to uphold public accountability, making access to the requested records necessary. The impeachment court is scheduled to rule on Monday, July 20, on the prosecution's request to issue subpoenas for Vice President Duterte's tax, bank, and AMLAC records, according to impeachment court presiding officer Francis G. Escudero. Before the oral arguments began, Senator Judge Robin Padilla moved to allow Senators Rodante Marcoleta and Jinggoy Estrada to participate in the impeachment trial. Padilla also criticized the National Bureau of Investigation or NBI for launching an inquiry into the alleged anomalies surrounding the 2019 Southeast Asian or SEA Games, during which Senator Judge Alan Peter Cayetano served as chairman of the Philippine Southeast Asian Games Organizing Committee. Cayetano in turn denounced what he described as investigation's chilling effect on senators. He also dismissed the allegations against him as maritas accusations. One of the issues raised again was the SEA Games cauldron, which cost more than 50 million pesos. Cayetano explained that the cauldron was funded by the private sector. Bernard Ferrer for The Nation.
One cannot help but feel flummoxed or dumbstruck by the defense panel's insistence the Vice President's midnight rant was nothing but a mere response. If so, it was very serious and threatening, one by her verbiage and an even more by the impactful and chilling delivery. And as our Kenneth Pacienter adds, there's nothing to argue because the video speaks volumes.
What more needs to be proven? That was the palace's response to Vice President Sara Duterte's statement, claiming that the prosecution has presented no evidence regarding her alleged threat against the president and two other individuals. Palace press officer and PCO Undersecretary Claire Castro said the Vice President's alleged threat was clearly made during her online press conference in November 2024. She questioned how anyone could say there was no basis for the allegation when, according to her, the Vice President herself said she had already spoken to an assassin to kill President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., First Lady Liza Marcos, and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez.
Ang mga pag-amin na ganito, ayon sa rules of court, kapag may pag-amin at gina-justify lamang nila dahil mismo ang abogado niya ang nag-justify kung bakit niya nasabi ang ganong klaseng mga salita, unconventional, hindi normal na pagkilos at pananalita o pag-react, ang burden of evidence ay nagsishift sa tao na umamin na siya ay magpapapatay. Ang prosecution sa totoo lamang ay hindi na dapat magbigay pa ng additional evidence dahil ang pag-amin na ito ay nanggaling mismo sa Vice Presidente. Dapat sila magpatunay ng justifiable reasons nila kung bakit nila ito, or rather, bakit niya ito ginawa at sinabi.
Castro also maintained that the Vice President's remarks could not be dismissed as anything other than a threat. She added that the case goes beyond a simple grave threats complaint because it involves the president, making it a matter of national security. Malacanang also rejected the defense team's argument that the alleged threat was not directly conveyed to the president.
Isang katawa-tawa ang ganyang mga pahayag. Unang-una, hindi ito lihim. Lahat ng tao halos nakapanood. Hindi lang sa Pilipinas, kundi sa buong mundo. Ang grave threats, alam ng bawat Pilipino, ay nakukonsummate kapag yung taong binantaan ay nalaman ito. Ito ay live stream. Lahat tayo nakapanood dito. Hindi ba ito mapapanood mismo ng taong kanyang pinagbantaan? Again, hindi ito simpleng grave threats. Sa grave threats, kahit hindi kaharap yung taong pinagbantaan, basta nalaman niya, consummated ang crime. Uulitin natin, hindi ito simpleng grave threats. Ito ay mayroong kaugnayan sa national security ng ating bansa.
Malacanang also distinguished the Vice President's case from that of the public school teacher who was arrested after posting on Facebook that he would allegedly offer a 50 million peso reward to anyone who would kill former President Rodrigo Duterte. Castro argued that in the Vice President's case, she allegedly admitted having spoken to someone and reaching an agreement, which she said clearly differentiates it from the teacher's case, where the allegation stemmed from a social media post offering a reward.
Kung yung isa ay pinakulong, wala pang kausap, wala pang nagsasang-ayon sa pagbalak na patayin ng dating Pangulong Duterte, pero ang Vice Presidente natin, may nakausap, may sumang-ayon, nagkaroon ng kumpletong agreement. At ngayon ay ipagtatanggol ng ibang mga senador. Dapat ang katotohanan ang lumabas dito, ang katotohanan para sa taong bayan. Huwag natin palabuin ang kwento para lang magligtas ng sinuman. Katotohanan ang nais ng mga kababayan natin dito.
Kenneth, pasyente for the nation.
In the meantime, Senator Rodante Marcoleta's current health status affords him to finally appear before the Sandigan Bayan and stay in detention whenever and wherever the court remands him. The summary of the embattled senator's physical and mental fitness indicating he is well enough to proceed to litigation of his indirect bribery and plunder charges. Our Carlo Candelaria on the senator's supposed arraignment today, which did not push through.
Shortly after 8 o'clock in the morning, Senator Rodante Marcoleta arrived at the Sandigan Bayan aboard a PNP coaster vehicle. Wearing a bulletproof vest and seated on a wheelchair, the senator appeared before the Sandigan Bayan 3rd Division for a hearing on the plunder charges filed against him over allegedly undeclared campaign donations. Also present at the hearing were his co-accused, former Anakalusugan Party List Representative Mike Defensor, as well as businessmen Joseph Espiritu and Aristotel Viray, who allegedly made donations to Marcoleta's campaign. Defensor, Espiritu, and Viray were formally arraigned and all entered not guilty pleas to plunder charges. Marcoleta, however, has yet to be arraigned as his motion to quash or request to dismiss the case remains pending before the court. The court also heard testimony regarding Marcoleta's medical condition. Philippine General Hospital Director Dr. Gerardo Legaspi appeared before the court to present the findings of the medical examination on the senator. The findings indicated that Marcoleta has no medical condition requiring continued hospital confinement, although doctors recommended that he be kept in isolation due to his current health condition. In light of this, the Sandigan Bayan ordered the transfer of Marcoleta's custody to the new Quezon City Jail male dormitory in Payatas. The PNP immediately complied with the court's order.
So today, may order yung 3rd Division, that commitment order na si Senator Marcoleta ay dadalhin sa New Payatas, Quezon City Jail. So we will be abiding with it. I already coordinated with the chief ng Payatas City Jail na dadalhin namin ngayon. Kailangan may isolated siya, di ba? Dahil nga sa karamdaman niya. And nakita naman na yung facility na yon, and the BGMP can provide with that.
From the time he arrived until he left the Sandigan Bayan, Marcoleta did not issue any statement to the media. The Sandigan Bayan 3rd Division has set the pre-trial of Marcoleta's 3 co-accused on August 10. For now, the 4 of them will remain detained at the new Quezon City Jail in Payatas while their cases are being heard. Carlo Luis Candelaria for The Nation.
The majority of Filipinos believe that modernizing the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine Coast Guard should be a top priority to safeguard the country's maritime rights. Meanwhile, the Philippine Air Force is set to participate once again in a military exercise in Australia, where it had previously earned the nickname Rockstar. Patrick De Souza has more in this report.
4 Philippine Air Force FA-50 fighter jets have arrived in Darwin, Australia. The aircraft will participate in exercise Pitch Black 2026, which will be held in Northern Australia from July 17 to August 7. The Philippine contingent is composed of 200 PAF personnel.
Sincerely thank the Royal Australian Air Force for the assistance and the very warm welcome for us here in Darwin.
This marks the PAF's second participation in exercise Pitch Black, a biennial multinational air combat exercise led by the Royal Australian Air Force and joined by 21 partner countries. During its debut in 2024, the Philippine Air Force earned the nickname Rockstar for its performance in the exercise.
The exercise provides a valuable platform for enhancing interoperability, strengthening operational readiness, and deepening defense cooperation through complex tactical flying missions and integrated multinational training.
Meanwhile, Filipinos consider the modernization of the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine Coast Guard as the top priority in defending the country's maritime rights. This was based on a social weather station survey conducted from June 20 to 29 among 1,200 respondents and commissioned by the Strat-based Institute. When asked about their top priority, 45% of respondents chose AFP and PCG modernization as their first choice, while strengthening alliances and partnerships with other countries ranked second. On the other hand, U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines Lee Lipton reported that $80 million worth of critical defense equipment from the United States has been delivered to Clark, Pampanga, further strengthening the U.S.-Philippines alliance. Patrick De Jesus for The Nation.
The House prosecution panel having decided to forego 6 witnesses on the Vice President's midnight meltdown and grave threats charge. The impeachment proceedings move on to the more controversial and hotly contested bank records disclosure. And after having stated their arguments on the issue today, the moment of truth, whether to keep or let out those things inside the box, is slated for Monday next week, as we hear more from our Sheila Natividad.
The House prosecution panel will no longer present 6 of its witnesses for the presentation of Article 4 of the impeachment complaint versus Vice President Sara Duterte, which deals with the alleged grave threats. This came after the prosecution agreed that the testimonies of NBI Senior Agent John Mark Calilung and NBI BARM Regional Director Attorney Jeremy Lotoc were already sufficient to establish the authenticity of the video from VP Duterte's 2024 online press conference where she repeatedly cursed and allegedly threatened the lives of the President, the First Lady, and the former Speaker of the House. The removed witnesses include former Sheriff Abe Andres, who was punched by VP Duterte during a demolition when she was mayor of Davao City. Reporters Mickey Flores and Bons Magsambol, who attended the 2024 online press conference, a psychiatrist who was expected to testify on the Vice President's state of mind when the alleged threats were made, a family member of an alleged threat victim, and a representative from the PNP Firearms and Explosives Office.
The intention of the prosecution is never to abuse the time of the impeachment court. It is never to influence the senator judges, neither is it to influence the viewing public. The explanation was a statement of the position of the prosecution, and of course it is anticipated that the same is adverse to the other party because it is apparent that we are in the prosecution side while the opposing counsel is on the defense side.
During the oral arguments, House Prosecutor Representative Chel Jokno said that nothing and no one can handcuff the impeachment court's power to try and decide the impeachment case. Leading the presentation of the prosecution panel, Jokno emphasized that reports from the Anti-Money Laundering Council, which were submitted to the House Committee on Justice, showed a significant increase in VP Duterte's financial activities beginning in 2007 when she served as Vice Mayor of Davao City. According to the report, the total value of transactions in her accounts reached 208.15 million pesos during the said year. The report, which was also marked as an exhibit before the impeachment court, further showed that the Vice President's financial activities remained consistently high from 2009 to 2013, with total transaction values exceeding 400 million pesos each year. The report cited notable peaks of 704.93 million pesos in 2009, 648.58 million pesos in 2010, and 597.15 million pesos in 2011. The total of AMLAC recorded financial activities during VP Duterte's tenure as a public official in Davao City amounted to more than 3 billion pesos.
Kailangan makita ng publiko at ng mga senator judge ang tunay na kulay ng vice-presidente at larawan ng kanyang buong pagkatao bilang isang lingkod bayan.
Tama na ang timpla. Kung dadagdagan mo pa ang Ricardo, baka mag-iba pa yung lasa. So titigil na kami.
NBI Director Melvin Matibag will serve as the last witness of the prosecution panel for Article 4 before the proceedings move to Article 1, which involves the alleged misuse of confidential funds. The prosecution panel is set to present Marivic Pareja, Director of the House Legislative Archives, along with Land Bank officials Violeta Constantino, Nenita Camposano, and Lynette Ortiz. Sheila Natividad for The Nation.
In other news, an intensity 6.5 earthquake struck off the waters of Balut Island in the town of Sarangani in Davao Occidental late last night. As per FIVOL's pronouncement, the quake of tectonic origin struck at 11 minutes before midnight yesterday at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers. As such, many towns and localities have reported feeling the shake and rattle from last night's ground shaker. And thank goodness, no casualty has been reported as of yet. Not only is the Padre Faura pumping station humming and running glitch-free after a year-long state of inactivity and disrepair, but so are two more along Rojas Boulevard, now in tip-top operations after a long overdue DPWH intervention. And residents along the much-traveled roadway express satisfaction in how floodwaters have receded so quickly as a result. Our James Thompson fills us in with more.
The operations of the Padre Faura pumping station remain uninterrupted after it was repaired by the Department of Public Works and Highways last June. It had been idle and damaged for almost a year along Rojas Boulevard in Manila.
Ito nakita natin. Isang taon niyang ganyan. Hindi gumagana. Kaya talaga magbabaha sa Taft, tsaka sa all the way hanggang Pio Campo. Magbabaha dito sa Paura, magbabaha sa Calao, magbabaha sa lahat yan, Magate. Kasi hindi gumagana eh.
In accordance with the directive of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., the DPWH did not let this slide and immediately removed the mountains of the trash that caused the pumping station to break down. The DPWH also found a way to connect the Padre Faura pumping station to Meralco in partnership with the Manila LGU to ensure continuous operations, especially in times of need.
So yun ang ginawa namin. Nakipag-usap kami sa Meralco, nakipag-usap kami sa LGU kay Yorme, nagturong-turong lahat. Ngayon, by end of June, konektado na lahat tong mga pumping station dito sa Rojas Boulevard.
Meanwhile, the Abad and Remedios pumping stations along Rojas Boulevard are now both operational as well. The agency will ensure the continued maintenance and cleanliness of the pumping stations so they will not break down again. According to some residents affected by floodwaters whenever it rains heavily in the city of Manila, the floodwaters in their area now recede quickly. The Padre Faura pumping station has indeed been put to the test due to the recent southwest monsoon and typhoon Inday. Like Adelina, a longtime resident and street sweeper along Taft Avenue, she said they noticed a significant change during the recent rains in the city.
Dati actually sir, nung nagbagyo-bagyo yung nakarang mga taon, umabot dito, pag lumusong ka dyan, nung Inday, wala nang baha na.
But she emphasized that as a sweeper, working to keep the community clean, she notices that some residents still do not stop disposing of trash improperly, which then accumulates in the drainage system, especially when it rains.
Kahit kami nagwawalis kami sa mga gilid ng drainage, yung iba puno na ng mga basura.
That is why the DPWH is asking for the public to be disciplined when it comes to proper waste disposal, because anti-flooding projects will go to waste without the cooperation of our fellow citizens. J.M. Thompson for The Nation.
The Philippines has secured a $6.78 million grant from the Green Climate Fund to strengthen the country's climate investment programs. The Department of Finance says the 60-month initiative will help improve disaster resilience, accelerate the transition to clean energy, and support sustainable and inclusive economic growth. The program will also enhance coordination among key government agencies and develop climate projects aligned with the country's national adaptation plan and climate commitments. Officials say the grant is an important step in boosting the Philippines' capacity to access climate financing and deliver long-term benefits for communities vulnerable to climate change. Money sent home by overseas Filipinos rose to $2.71 billion in May, according to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP. Cash remittances increased by 2% from a year ago, while total personal remittances reached $3.3 billion. The United States remained the largest source of remittances, followed by Singapore and Saudi Arabia. Economists say remittances continue to support Filipino families, consumer spending, and the Philippine economy despite global economic and geopolitical challenges. The overall transmission rate for the July 2026 billing period increased by 0.77% to 1.47 pesos per kilowatt hour due to higher ancillary services rates. The National Grid Corporation of the Philippines said the increase came from higher costs charged by ancillary services providers and does not benefit the company. Meanwhile, the transmission grid in the Visayas is currently under normal conditions, following the resumption of operations of PAM Concepcion Power Corporation. NGCP officials said they are continuing to monitor the grid as some generating units remain unavailable and are expected to return by August. And we'll have more news and stories coming your way after these reminders. Stay with us.
This is the right time to us na malaman yung dapat na malaman. Siyempre, taong bayan tayo, kailangan nating makita yung katotohanan.
PTV Consumer Watch. Bantay presyo sa gasolina.
Ang hiling ng prosecution ay mailabas ang buong katotohanan. That is why we have requested the issuance of subpoena duces tecum for the bank records, tax records, and anti-money laundering council reports relating to Vice President Sara Duterte and her husband, Attorney Mans Carpio. Since this impeachment court has the sole power to determine what constitutes an impeachable offense, no one, not the Supreme Court, much less the defense, can impose limitations on that power. May karapatan at kapangyarihan ng impeachment court na busisiin ang mga bank records ni VP Sara.
The Cine Bata Video Festival is calling for submission of video entries for, by, and with children. Submit videos with the theme, Hear My Voice. Deadline for submission of entries is on July 31, 2026. For details, visit or contact the following.
Prosecution further manifests that we will not be presenting as well the following witnesses for Article 4, that is threat. Number 1, Your Honor, is the Philippine National Police Firearms and Explosives Office Representative Mikel Flores and Bons Magsambol, Sheriff Abe Andres, the family member of a victim of threats. Finally, Your Honor, the psychiatrist. On the other hand, Your Honor, both parties have sufficiently established already the circumstances surrounding the statements made by the respondent in the authenticated video. The same is true with respect to the respondent's own subsequent confirmation of those statements, as well as the testimonies already presented. This withdrawal, Your Honor, renders Attorney Melvin Matibag, the NBI Director, as our last witness for threat, who will be testifying this coming Tuesday, Your Honor.
Susunod sa Schoolmates. Napapanahon na bang bumalik ang Pilipinas sa ICC o International Criminal Court? Pakinggan ang opinyon ng mga schoolmates natin sa Nemesio Ayabut Senior High School, Makati.
Philippines should rejoin the International Criminal Court because of the principle of complementarity, which strengthens accountability without undermining Philippines' sovereignty.
Ayusin muna natin kung anong problema natin bago tayo muling bumalik sa ICC.
If wala pong ICC sa Pilipinas natin, how can we ensure na ma-achieve yung justice if hindi po na-prosecute? If may impunity po na na-develop?
Sa bawat issue, may boses ang kabataan. Schoolmates, Webes ng gabi, dito lang sa PTV. For our next food crawl.
Palabiro lang ang pagkakas ng atin talaga. Hanggang sa loob ng meat, may flavor. Ang sarap.
Tara na sa another chibugan. Kasama ang certified foodie na si Joshua Garcia.
Teka lang. Kumain na si Kai.
Ngayong linggo, alas 10:30 ng umaga.
Konti lang sa'yo kasi sa akin to. Ang damot na naman sa shawarma.
Dito lang sa PTV.
Lahat tayo nag-aantay ng sagot.
Makakapit natin yung hustisya sa paraan ng pag-iimbestiga ng tama. Transparency.
Pag wala sa proseso talaga yan, hindi natin talaga siya malalaman kung anong kaso nila.
Mayroon pa rin katarong at lalabas pa rin katotohanan sa pamamagitan ng paglilitis.
So kung wala namang kamalian na dapat kinakatakutan, bakit magtatago po tayo?
Walang pinipili ang hustisya. Dapat mahirap, mayaman, sa mataas o mababa, pantay-pantay dapat.
Katotohanan, pananagutan, katarungan. Subaybayan ang live coverage ng The Impeachment Trial. On air at sa digital platforms. Dito lang sa inyong People's Television.
Police authorities are set to file charges against a Muntinlupa cop and his band of toadies in an extortion ring which has been squeezing hapless jeepney drivers in a city terminal for a cut of their earnings over the last few years. This after results of a just concluded probe point to the extortion ring leader having given the orders to silence the victim for good last month. Our Maryvel Custodio has more.
Pinatay nila yung tatay ko. Unang kalaban-laban. Binarin nila ng patalikod. Ayop sila.
The family of the slain jeepney driver is grieving and demanding justice after he was allegedly shot dead by a gunman linked to a police officer at the jeepney terminal in Muntinlupa City on June 7th. Based on information from the National Police Commission or NAPOLCOM, the killing of the victim, identified as Michael Ferrer, was allegedly motivated by an extortion scheme. The suspect, Police Executive Master Sergeant Edwin Figueroa, allegedly collected 45 pesos from each trip, made by around 70 to 80 public utility jeepneys. 4 of Figueroa's men were allegedly stationed at 2 jeepney terminals in Muntinlupa to collect the money.
Kung hindi ka magbabayad ng butaw sa kanya, hindi ka talaga makakapila doon. So wala kang kikitain.
Siya po yung nagpursige na mabuo po yung grupo namin para paglabanan po yung anomalya po na ginagawa. Kasi lahat po kami binantaan, pati ako binantaan din po. Kung hindi kami titigil, uubusin nila kami.
Kasi doon po sa meeting nila, hindi po talaga naging maganda yung meeting. Tapos nung nag-walk out po si Edwin Figueroa, nagka-anuan po sila, titindigan po siya ng masama para daw po siyang papatayin.
Authorities said the gunman allegedly used a vehicle owned by Figueroa during the attack.
Gusto ko pa sana mangyari, makulong po siya.
According to Manibela chairperson Marval Buena, the alleged extortion scheme began in 2022. He claimed that Figueroa now owns 50 jeepneys and 2 condominium units. Napolcom will also conduct a lifestyle check on Figueroa. The suspect will face a murder charge, while Napolcom is also preparing a separate administrative case against him.
Lahat po ng tumatanggap ng kotong sa jeepney driver, kapag nalaman po namin, tatanggalin po namin sila sa serbisyo. Magsumbong lang po kayo dito. Maglakas loob po kayo. In the same way na inuubos namin ang lahat ng tiwaling pulis, hinihikayat ko po ang taong bayan na tulungan ho kami sa pamamagitan ng pagsumbong sa amin dito.
Val Custodio for The Nation.
The Department of Education conducted an active shooter safety drill at Manila Science High School to teach students and staff the proper response during emergency situations. Authorities demonstrated safety measures such as moving to a secure location and locking doors to help protect lives. Education Secretary Juan Edgardo Angara reminded students to avoid standing near doors during a shooting incident and stressed the importance of preparedness in schools. The department plans to conduct more safety drills in schools across the country to strengthen campus security and awareness. The Philippine National Police will further intensify its school-based safety and crime prevention awareness campaign. This is aimed at protecting students from various threats, including crimes, online exploitation, misinformation, and radicalization. According to PNP Chief General Jose Melencio Nartatis Jr., crime prevention begins with awareness. He stressed that children should be taught at an early age to identify possible threats to their safety and become responsible for their actions. Following this, the police chief ordered police units to strengthen their coordination with schools and local stakeholders to implement more intensive information campaigns on cyber safety, anti-bullying, anti-illegal drugs, anti-online scams, and responsible social media use. Four bodies have been recovered by authorities following a flood incident in Barangay Tanuman, Jose Abad Santos, Davao Occidental. 3 of the victims, including 2 children and an elderly person, were members of the same family, while another body was later found. Local officials said 4 families or around 10 individuals were affected by the flood, with 1 person injured and 5 others still missing. Search and rescue operations remain ongoing with the assistance of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Philippine Coast Guard, Bureau of Fire Protection, and neighboring local government units. The Davao City Jail Annex has been opened its rehabilitated facilities for persons deprived of liberty, including a new observation and monitoring ward for inmates needing medical care. The improved facility now offers better ventilation, more space, and essential medical equipment for the proper care of PDLs with health conditions. The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology also renovated Dormitory 2 for LGBTQA1+ PDLs and developed a Welfare and Development Unit office for rehabilitation programs. Officials said the project aims to provide more humane conditions and support the reintegration of PDLs into the community. Sports and more news coming your way after this. Stay with us.
Consumer Watch. Mga praktikal na paraan sa pagtitipid ng gasolina. Alam nyo ba na ang regular maintenance ng sasakyan ay makakatipid ng 2,000 hanggang 5,000 piso ng inyong gasoline budget kada buwan? Kaya para todo tipid, laging i-check ang air filter, spark plug, at fuel injector ng sasakyan. Siguruhing tama ang engine oil na ginagamit at panatilihin ang tamang pressure ng mga gulong. Practice good driving habits din. Gamitin ang GPS navigation apps para makaiwas sa traffic. Mag-carpooling. Pagsamahin sa iisang trip ang mga lakad at delivery. At lumabas kapag off-peak hours tuwing mas kaunti ang sasakyan sa daan. Bawasan ang karga o load ang inyong sasakyan. Iwasan ang agresibong pagmamaneho at biglaang pagpreno at ang labis na pag-aarangkada. At gamitin ang cruise control feature tuwing magbabiyahe ng mahaba sa highway. Sa panahong kailangan magtipid, maging bahagi ng solusyon at sama-sama tayong umaksyon. Dapat laging listo. Webwatch. Sa panahong laganap ang fake news, dapat laging listo. Mag-ingat sa kumakalat na AI-generated content. Ang generative AI ay isang klase ng artificial intelligence na may kakayahang lumikha ng iba't ibang content mula sa prompt ng isang user. Ilan sa mga halimbawa nito ay ang images, videos,
pati na rin ang boses.
Karaniwang ginagamit ito upang mapabilis ang gawain, gawing libangan, o makapanloko ng tao. Masasabing ito ay AI-generated content kapag hindi natural ang detalye o galaw ng katawan, gaya ng sobrang daliri sa kamay, makintab o makinis ang balat ng tao o hayop. Upang hindi mabiktima, tiyaking totoo ang content sa pamamagitan ng pagkilatis ng mga detalye, paggamit ng reverse image search, at pag-verify ng impormasyon mula sa mapagkakatiwalaang sources. Tandaan, huwag gawing fake ang fact.
Healthwatch. Alertong pangkalusugan. Balisa at laging nag-aalala? Kapit lang. Hindi ka nag-iisa, kaibigan. Valid ang iyong nararamdaman. Tandaan lang ang 12S kontra stress. Self-awareness. Pakiramdaman ang sarili mo at maging sensitibo sa iyong mga pangangailangan at nararamdaman. Scheduling. Hatiin ng tama ang oras mo at nang hindi ma-overwhelm sa trabaho. Siesta. Deserve mong magpahinga. Kaya gawin mo itong regular na bahagi ng iyong araw. Speak. Huwag mong kimkimin. Magsabi ka kung may gustong iparating, lalo na kapag hindi mo na kaya at kailangan mo ng tulong. Sounds. Makinig sa musika para ma-relax, gumanda ang mood, at maaliw habang nagtatrabaho. Sensation. Touch therapy? Why not? Magpamasahe paminsan-minsan para ma-relax ang isip at katawan. Stretching. Mag-exercise para ma-energize at gumanda ang pakiramdam. Socialize. Importanteng may support group ka tulad ng mga kaibigan at kapamilya na handang makinig sa'yo. Smile. Kahit gaano ka-stressful ang buhay, laging humanap ng dahilan para umiti at tumawa. Sports. Ang pagkakaroon ng active lifestyle ay mainam para sa isipan. Spirituality. Sandalan ang iyong pananalig at humugot ng lakas sa panalangin. At seek consultation. Ang stress ay pwedeng maging traumatic at makatutulong na lumapit sa isang profesional para kayo ay magabayan. Deserve mong alagaan ang sarili mo. Think positive. Stay happy. Dahil sa panahon na napaka-stressful, dapat laging listo.
And we'll now give you the latest buzz here at Pop Culture Corner. First up, Big Bang is officially returning to Manila as part of their 20 Cosmos World Tour. The group is scheduled to perform on February 20, 2027 at the SMDC Festival grounds, with more event details to be announced. The World Tour will begin in Goyang, South Korea on August 21 before visiting several cities across Asia, Europe, and the United States. The announcement comes as reports say the group is preparing to release their first new song in 4 years following their 2022 single Still Life. BTS is set to release a new music video for Normal, the next official single from their comeback album Arirang. The video will premiere on Spotify on July 17 before its YouTube release on July 19. Normal explores the group's life in global stardom and the challenges they face behind the scenes. BTS is currently on a world tour, including a 3-night concert stop in the Philippines, scheduled for March 2027. Filipino lifter Jia May Paligtiu added 2 more silver medals to the Philippines Medal Haul at the 2026 IWF World Youth Weightlifting Championships in Cali, Colombia. The 14-year-old weightlifter finished second in the women's 77-kilogram clean and jerk event after successfully lifting 112 kilograms. Paligtiu also claimed a silver medal in the total lift with a combined mark of 200 kilograms. With their strong performance, the Cebuana lifter helped the Philippine team wrap up its campaign with an impressive 16-medal haul. The national squad finished the tournament with 4 gold, 10 silver, and 2 bronze medals, capping off a successful showing on the world stage. The Philippine Sports Commission honored Gilas Pilipinas following its historic triumph as the first all-Filipino team to win the FIBA Season 4 World Championship. The Philippine Sports Commission formally recognized Gilas Pilipinas during a ceremony at the Rizal Memorial Sports Complex, celebrating the team's historic world title. The delegation was led by Laos Group Esports President Paul Laos and team manager Ian Serranilla, along with players Miguel Carlo Jubilar, Chris Briones, Kenneth Gutierrez, Joshua Machado, and Trish Diaz. They were joined by coaches Knight Alparaz, Anthony De Jesus, and Gilas program head, Coach Ryan Gregorio. The team also presented its championship trophy to PSC chairperson Patrick Pato Gregorio, following its dominant title run at the FIBA World Finals in Doha, Qatar. The historic victory further highlights the Philippines' continued rise in esports and showcases the ability of Filipino players to compete and succeed on the global stage. The southwest monsoon affecting extreme northern Luzon, Ilocos Norte, Batanes, and Babuyan Islands may expect partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms, while Metro Manila and the rest of the country may experience the same weather conditions. And our food for thought tonight comes from Sophocles, an ancient Greek playwright and one of the greatest dramatists of classical antiquity, best known for Oedipus Rex and Antigone. His works explored truth, justice, fate, and human character. And he once said, "Hide nothing, for time, which sees all and hears all, exposes all." And before we end our newscast, please take time to like, subscribe, or share PTV social media pages flashing on your screen right now. It would go a long way and would truly appreciate it. And so goes PTV News Tonight's roundup of tomorrow's headline stories. I'm Jay Esteban. Join us again tomorrow on PTV News Tonight.